you have to be on board with what the Chinese government is saying. And if you are not on board, you are out of there. Chinese government is very smart, and they understand that Chinese tech monopolies are a huge asset to China.
This isn't new. The U.S. has been doing this for, more than a century. Yeah. The expansion of private enterprise is a great way to expand soft power.
China moves to increase oversight of tech companies. Basically, we've been talking a lot on the show about how a lot of the Chinese tech monopoly stocks are actually suppressed. They've actually been dragged down by increased oversight by the Chinese government in the past, I'd say 12 to 18 months, where you actually see a lot of these Chinese tech companies not regulate their users or the content on the site as well as the Chinese government would like them to do it. And then they've imposed either fines or penalties or warnings, and that's dragged down a lot of the tech company stocks. Now, man, Chinese government is just tripling down on this. And Nick, what are they actually doing to increase oversight?
Well, they already have, in a lot of these big tech companies, basically people embedded with the company, and they're basically just increasing that presence. And I think broadening it from, the big ones to a bigger part of the tech sector. And it's everything from the big platform companies to hardware makers. And there was actually another story in the Wall Street Journal this morning, I believe, which was basically saying that there's growing concern, or that part of what China is now doing is tighter integration between private technology development and the military. So that is, again, hardware, AI, software. So it ties into this integration of these big platform companies with the Chinese government and the military. This is not, shouldn't be stunning for anyone who's been looking at what China's been doing for a long time, but there's an increasing integration of private technology development with basically military technology development.
I mean, actually, I don't fault them for that. We've said how the U.S. tech companies should be doing the same thing.
What the same thing meaning what?
Same thing, working more closely with the Department of Defense to help the United States, right? That's something Eric Schmidt has come out and talked about, and we've discussed that on the show as well. Why is there this reticence on the part of the U.S. tech monopolies to not work closely with the U.S. military? And then
I think it comes out of the kind of post-Snowden revelations world where people are concerned about basically government monitoring in the U.S. And if you combine that with basically the private sector monitoring that you have with all these ad-based companies like Facebook and Google, that's probably where a lot of the concern comes from.
Yep. No, I understand where it comes from. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Look, all of this suffice to say is, I think is this going to break up the large Chinese tech companies? No, it's not going to break them up. Why? Because the Chinese government is very smart, and they understand that Chinese tech monopolies are a huge asset to China.
Right. It's a form of soft power, not just domestically, but also abroad when they're exporting, Alibaba and these big companies to India. If those companies are very successful there, that expands Chinese influence in India. This isn't new. The U.S. has been doing this for, more than a century.
Yeah.
The expansion of private enterprise is a great way to expand soft power.
So now, what are the downsides of this? Okay. I mean, I would say, does it really hurt competition in China? Not really. Does it hurt smaller? Does it make the large tech monopolies a little less agile? I would say so. It might actually open up more opportunities for the smaller tech companies in China to be more nimble if they're not as heavily regulated. Interestingly enough, though, I would say probably the biggest negative of this is just potentially having entrepreneurs in China want to build businesses not in China. And you just see that if you get to that scale, you have to be on board with what the Chinese government is saying. And if you are not on board, you are out of there.
Yeah, I think
it's no longer your company.
From a business perspective, the downside is it increases your costs because you have to hire a huge, basically manual staff of people that are responsible for this monitoring to make sure that you're not triggering or broadcasting things the Chinese government doesn't want you to. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a drag on their business results in the sense that they have to go very stringently. They've got to comply or you get shut down. So it's not like there's a wiggle room for them the way there is for Facebook has been going back and forth about, do we have editorial control over what people say? How do we regulate private speech? In the Chinese platform economy, that's not really a debate. The answer is yes, you do, and you've got to do it to the degree that we tell you to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. Hi, this is Alex Mozed. Thanks for joining us on Winner Take All. If you enjoyed the content today, which I bet you did, please comment, subscribe, and definitely message me on Twitter when we're doing live streams. Also, please note, all opinions expressed about stocks or public companies on the show are exactly that, opinions. This is not investment advice. Don't act on it. WisdomTree licensed Applico's Platform Insights data product to aid in the creation of the PLAT ETF. Thanks for joining us.